Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time on the channel. Today I'm going to be taking you through how to set up your router for internet access to your site. This is part 3 of a 3-part series. In the first 2 videos, I showed you guys how to set up your website on your home PC. And then part 2 was basically how to point your free domain to that address or to your website. If you missed that, go back, check the last 2 videos. I address the security concerns involved and the setup from start to finish. So have a look at that. And then today is the final step. And basically, by now, you should have your site set up and ready to go. All we have to do is open ports on our router and allow access to the site from the outside world. So I'm going to take you through this step by step. The reason I left this for last is it is a bit more on the technical side, but don't be intimidated by it. It's relatively straightforward. It's just a matter of knowing where to go and how to get this done. So stick with me and I'll show you. If you have any questions or concerns, or you're not winning with your setup, drop a comment below and I will get back to you and I'll help you guys out. If you don't already know, my name is Dean from dean-joseph.com, and let's get into this. So first and foremost, what we want to do is find out our router address, and the way we do that is by running this little command and finding out what our default gateway is. So it's pretty simple to do. We'll go to start, hit the start menu, and type CMD, so Charlie Mother Delta, and hit enter, and that's going to bring up this black window over here. And we type the following in there. You don't have to click anywhere. You should be in the window, otherwise just click in the window and type ipconfig. So just like that, as you can see on the screen, ipconfig, short for Internet Protocol Configuration. It doesn't matter though. ipconfig, hit enter, and you're going to see a whole bunch of numbers and stuff come up. Now, like I said, we're looking for the default gateway. So we need these numbers over here, and this address 99% of the time is your router address. If you've got a very complicated setup and some serious sort of IT company has set your device up and you've got firewalls, then that is an occurrence where this won't be the case. But in 99% of home situations and home networks that I've seen, this is the case. So you can copy that, or you can just type it out. So you'll see I'm typing that out, and I'm going to hit that address. I'll hit enter, I should say. And that's going to take you to your website. You can't actually see what I've typed out. There you go, 192.168.0.1. That is the address of your router. Now, in most cases, these details would have been provided. Sorry about that. They would have been provided to you by your ISP. I'm going to take you through another example as well. So that was that screen there, just to show you 2 different interfaces, just so that it's not overly confusing, and you can see that it's relatively straightforward on both of these. But in most cases, you would have been given your username and password by your internet service provider. If they haven't given you that, most of the time these are the default credentials, which is also bad and should be changed. But in most cases, the username will be admin, ADMIN, and the password will be either password or admin or blank. That is probably about a 50-50 shot that's going to be the case. If not, what you can do is just Google the default credentials for your router, for your model number. So get the brand on the device, on your internet device, and the model number, and just Google default credentials, and you should find stuff that comes up. And most of the time, if you haven't changed it specifically, that will be the username and password. If you're not able to gain access, get in touch with your internet provider, and for home setups, they 90% of the time will tell you and are supposed to tell you what that is, so that you can gain access and configure things for yourself. We are going to gain access to mine now, and I will show you. Oopsie, I don't even know my own setup. And we'll get in there, and what we're going to do is set up what's called a port forward. And all we're doing is we're opening your router and your device, as I've explained in my last video, is firewalled. There's a block from allowing any traffic from getting into your network. And what you're doing is you're effectively making a small little tunnel, and you're opening a port, they would say, that directs the traffic to your computer. So excuse me. So yeah, that's effectively what we're going to be doing. Sorry, and one more thing before we get stuck into this. As we've seen here, this is our default gateway over here. So that is our router address. This address at the top, our IP4 address, that is the address of our actual computer. That's the address of the computer that you're currently on. Now, what we're going to want to do to make your website reliable is to set this as the permanent address for your computer. Okay, because what typically happens is on most home networks, that address, every time you start up your computer, your router gives your computer an address, and it will give it something within this realm, but it will be different most of the time. So what we want to do is we want to make things static and sort of the same and consistent, so that every time your router is trying to forward that traffic to your internet, to your website, your website, it's going to go to that same address. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Also pretty straightforward. I'm sure most of you will know how to do that, but let's have a look anyway. I'm sure you can't see what my screen looks like. Let's go to the bottom right hand corner of our screen, and we're going to right click on our network connection. So I clicked that by mistake. So you're going to right click and you're going to go to network and sharing center, network and internet settings, I should say. Okay. This is on Windows 10. Windows 7 will differ slightly. It will be called Internet and Sharing Center. You can also go in there through the Windows control panel over here. So there's two different ways to do this. Where is it? We should see Network and Sharing Center. Okay, so it's basically going to take us to similar places, and I'll show you both areas here. Click on Ethernet and click on Change Adapter Options. Okay, and you'll see on this side, if I've gone in through Control Panel, Internet and Sharing Center, I click on Change Adapter Settings, and it's going to bring up the exact same window. Now this is showing us all our internet connections. Okay, you can see Ethernet. That's normally the hardwire, your cable device, which most of your desktops will be, and Wi-Fi, which some of your notebooks will be. It's the exact same process whether you're on Wi-Fi or you're on Ethernet, or it may be called local area connection. It's the exact same process, and the same principles apply. So all you're going to do is you're going to right click, you're going to click on Properties. Okay, this window is going to come up. You're going to just click anywhere on this text here, don't untick it, just click on the text itself and then click on Properties, and you will see this come up. Now in most cases yours will look like this. There won't be any address whatsoever there, and it's going to be blank. Now all we're going to do is we're going to put the exact same sorry, let me just clear some of this junk here so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to go to Wi-Fi, Properties, once again there, and then to Properties. So I'm going to clear this just so you guys can see exactly what's going on. You're going to use the following IP address, and we're just going to copy exactly what is here. You can change your address, and I'll explain what I mean here. This last number here, this can be anywhere between 1 and 254. What I suggest is make it exactly what it is here, just to avoid any problems and conflicts with other devices on the network. So we're going to call it 189. If you hit the tab button on your keyboard, it will fill in the next field for you. It will fill in all that stuff. Okay, then we're going to tab again, and once again we are going to make the default gateway exactly what it is there, and we're going to fill in one more field. We're not going to do both, we just need one preferred DNS server, 192.168.0.1. It's going to be exactly the same as our default gateway. If you guys want and you feel twitchy by not putting in the second one, you can put in 8.8.8.8. That is Google's DNS servers, and if your router or your internet provider's DNS is failing, it will use Google's server. So that's not a bad thing to have as a backup. If you have problems, I would remove the second one and just leave the first one in. And once again, also as a backup, if we're going to click OK. This warning may come up. We're going to just click yes. It's just basically saying, are you sure you want to do this? We say yes. There's nothing untoward in doing it. We're setting it to the same settings, so don't panic, don't worry about it. If you find once you've done this that for some whatever miraculous reason you have no internet, you can go back in here, go to the exact same place and clear this just by making it automatic again. Okay, back to square one. So nothing to panic about, nothing's going to break. This is just general networking and networking basics. So yeah, once again, we're going to put in that static address. I'm going to just do it very quickly, and there we go. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to close this, and it's going to apply those settings. And now we know our address is going to stay on that address at all times. And this makes life easier, not only easier, but it makes sure that our website is always accessible. Because if that address is changing, then the port forward we create, that's basically a tunnel from the internet to our computer, that is going to fail, because it's going to tunnel in and try and look at the address that we specify, and that your device won't be available or won't be there anymore. So I hope that makes sense, just so you guys understand exactly what we're doing. Okay, so let's go back into our routing device, and we're going to, typically this is called a port forward, and sometimes this will be under what's called a virtual server. So I'll show you two different interfaces. This one that I'm showing you is a bit more on the complicated side. Most routers and devices look a bit nicer and a bit simpler, and this is called port mapping. Okay, so it will be called port forwarding, port mapping, or you'll do it under something called a virtual server, okay, which I will show you on a second device. Once again, if you have questions, feel free to just ask. Okay, so we're just going to view this current one that I've got here. I've already set this up, and all I've done is I've created I've put my IP address. Internal host is my computer. Okay, so you can call it whatever you want. You put your IP address, the one that we've just set for your computer's address, and the port. These are the only three pieces of information that you effectively need to do and set up. So once again, it's just a matter of it looking a little bit different and looking a little bit complicated on most devices. So I'm going to show you how simple the other device is, and more than likely yours is going to be on this scale or this front. It's going to be one of the simpler sort of setups. So this is a different address, and that's just because I've set it up that way myself. Okay, and when we go in here, we go to advanced setup. We're going to click on NAT, and we're going to click on virtual servers, as I said to you earlier. And these are other port forwards I've created. I'm going to click add. Okay, so there we go. So the remote IP address means where is the traffic coming from. We don't need to worry about that. 0.0.0.0 means anywhere. It's going to allow all traffic. Okay, so that's fine. We want everybody to be able to access our internet, our website. I keep saying that. Okay, our external port is port 80. This is, if you're setting up a normal HTTP site, it will be port 80. That is the normal web traffic interface. If you've set up an HTTPS site, the S being for secure, and what do you call it? It's a secure site. Then you will use the numbers 443. That is the address, or that is the port for secure web traffic. So if it's HTTP only, you will use port 80, and if it's HTTPS, you will use port 443. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill all of these fields out with port 80 or port 443 if you have a secure website. Okay, and then Our internal IP address is 192.168.0.198, as I've set it, 189, as I showed you before. That was the address we found that's been assigned to us by our router, and that's the address we've set as a static consistent address. So whatever yours is, obviously you'll put that in there. Description, let's call it my awesome website. You can call it whatever you want. Okay, we're going to click enable and we're going to click apply. Okay, I'm not clicking apply, this is on a different system, and I don't need this set up, but that's effectively it. And once again, what this does is it creates a tunnel to your website, but you are going to need a static address, as what it's called, and that just means a fixed address that's not going to be changing. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. So that is most of the battle won, guys. So now, if you have to test your site using your domain name that you've created already and pointed to your site, that's going to work straight off the bat. It's going to work right away. Now, what I also explained to you is that your internet provider from time to time changes your external address. Okay, so the address that people will use to get to your site. Now, the way we keep that working is by using a dynamic DNS service, and I showed you how to set up the Dinu address that you've created. Now, that Dinu service has the ability to update all the time. Every time your address changes, it tells Dinu, and Dinu knows, okay, if somebody goes to this name or this web address, it must point to this destination. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, if you're using another service like DynDNS or something a little bit more well known, in most routers you have the option to set those accounts up here. They will have a DynDNS or dynamic DNS portal, and we will click add, and it will you can see there's other providers here: DynDNS, Aura, TZO, no-ip.com. I've only ever used DynDNS other than Dinu, and you can try one of these, and all you're required to do is put in your the name you've chosen, your web address that you've chosen, your username, which is the username and password that you've used to create your Dinu account. Okay, don't panic if your router doesn't have a Dinu address. You can test this service even with using the incorrect name of the platform and see if it works. What the other option is, and I'll show you here. So let's just go back into my router and I'll just give you let's just see what options there are here. You're always going to find these in a similar place. It will be under network application or somewhere near the bottom section or the end section of the settings. So DDNS stands for Dynamic DNS. This is an old address I've created. It's not in use anymore. And you see this has its own set of different providers. EasyDNS. A lot of these services do provide free DNS or dynamic address services, so you can see and try and get a free one from these guys. If you've already set up with Dinu, don't worry. Most of these platforms also have what's called it's an application. So it's not nothing crazy. It's an application that you install on your computer. It looks like this, okay, and this will do the job the same way. So all this does, once again, you put in your username, your password that you used to sign in to create your account, and then you will sign in. You don't need the group. The group is more just if you're creating multiple addresses, you can have different groups for different portals. So yeah, you will download this from the Dinu website if you've created the account already. Let's just see where I found this. Update client. I'm just trying to see resources, DNS records, downloads. So you'll go to resources, you'll go to downloads, Dinu IP update client. Simple as that. It's already downloading. It's a 5 megabyte download. Very, very straightforward. And we're going to just install it for example purposes. Let me just go to my desktop and let's just drag that there and install. Next, I can't even remember my Dinu credentials, but we'll figure that out. Okay, started, and this will always run on your system, and this will effectively update your address at all times. So already, once again, whether if your router's got one, your router's got one. Okay, I think those are my details. It should pull my address in and basically keep everything up to date. So let's just test it. I haven't used this before. Oh wow, that's not a good sign. Let's try with the other username. That looks promising. There we go. Okay, so checking IP. Why is there no host? I may have deleted the address I created. I think I did. Okay, let's just have another squiz. I just want to make sure it works before recommending this to you guys, obviously. Okay, so I've obviously deleted mine. I called it deansblog.mywire.org. Let's recreate that. Okay, it's done. Let's see, check IP. Let's just see if it pulls that up. There we go. You see it's gone green. I literally created that a second ago. So now, guys, once again, if you browse to this address, deansblog.mywire.org, it will bring you to my web address if my port forward is done on my router. Okay, so I know that's a lot of info for those of you that are starting out, but effectively our website is set up, our website is running, our port forwards are done, our router is going to be up, our website is going to be accessible from the internet 100%. The Dinu updater is going to keep the address updated, and you're going to have, provided you have internet and electricity going to your computer, and your website's not broken. If your website is running, it will be a perfectly stable, reliable website that people can access all the time. I've been running a site like that for a year, hosting it myself. It's the first one I've ever set up, so I went through this whole process. And it's been unbelievable. It's been really reliable. And I've found that I'm on a very good internet connection where I've got the site running. It's actually faster than I run a sister site that's with a proper hosting company. And my site that I'm hosting is actually quicker. It runs better. I've got more space. It's easier to update, to upload images, things like that. The downside is that you have to maintain that yourself. Nobody's backing it up but you. So you need to be a bit more responsible for it. So once again, it's all free if you want to do it, and it can really work well for you depending on how much effort you want to go to. But once you've done this once, you can do 10 sites, and you will see that this process from start to finish, if you know what you're doing, takes you, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes from installing the software, installing the website itself, and getting your router set up and everything else done. So it's not actually as complex as it seems, and it's pretty straightforward. But I hope this was valuable for you guys. Once again, if you found it valuable, please subscribe. There's going to be more cool videos like this. Otherwise, drop me a comment. I'll be happy to help you guys out, and even if it means setting up a Zoom call or whatever, and just trying to assist you guys, so you're not on your own out there. Once again, thanks for watching. Hope this was valuable, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Cheers, guys.